For some reason, a number of people did not want to see Wonder Woman, one of the most important films in the history of cinema for women, in front of and behind the camera, even get any nominations. Forget winning. They didn't even want to see it nominated this awards season. And it would seem that the Hollywood Foreign Press Association is in your group. In that group. And that's incredibly disappointing. But I would like to point out that this morning wasn't just a huge blow for Wonder Woman, but for mainstream filmmaking in general, because Logan was shut out too. Logan was completely shut out. And then as for Get Out, which I guess took the one genre spot that the Hollywood Foreign Press Association would allow, and Lady Bird took the one woman's spot, I guess, that they have, Jordan Peele was totally ignored for both directing and writing. And so while some of you might feel that Wonder Woman is not worthy, and I think there are several categories which we'll discuss where it certainly could have gotten a nomination at least, a win for Wonder Woman would have helped films later on down the line. It's a long-term game we're playing here, and that recognition would have gone a long way towards giving some legitimacy to mainstream entertainment when it comes to awards recognition. So this is a huge problem. It's going to severely diminish mainstream interest in at least the Golden Globes, which is weird because the Golden Globes are usually a bit more savvy about getting people to tune in. But that's how much they hate genre, mainstream blockbuster fare. They're like, I don't care. I'm not even giving a single nomination to Wonder Woman or Logan. I don't care how much it would help my ratings. And we'll see if the Oscars make the same mistake. I don't think it's game over for these movies just yet, because the Academy has been working very hard to change their votership, whereas the Hollywood Foreign Press Association is still very much the Hollywood old guard. But it's not looking good, because in the past, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association has done a tremendous job predicting what the Oscar nominations will be. There are some real head-scratchers here. The Greatest Showman, that's not too surprising. They love their musicals, and Hugh Jackman at the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. But the real shocker is that All the Money in the World has a ton of nominations. No wonder Ridley Scott wanted to make that qualifying date. He probably knew something, because the Hollywood Foreign Press Association definitely is known to play ball and take checks. All right, so anyway, who is nominated? Who else is nominated? Let's take a look, as well as play our favorite awards season game, although a less enthusiastic version of it now, of who should win and who will win. I'm so upset. Okay, all right, so Best Motion Picture Drama. Remember, for the Best Motion Picture and the Best Actor and Actress categories, it's divided into two categories, drama and musical or comedy. We're going to start out with drama. Call Me By Your Name, this is Best Picture. Call Me By Your Name, Dunkirk, The Post, The Shape of Water, and 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. I feel that it's still a pretty close race at this point. I feel the frontrunners are Call Me By Your Name, The Post, and The Shape of Water. I think it's really between Call Me By Your Name and The Post. The Post is apparently, I have not seen it yet, but from what I've heard, it is a double whammy of not only the power of the press against the government, which is a popular subject right now, but another popular subject, and that's women in the workplace, and discrimination and them not being taken seriously. And it's got Meryl Streep in it, and Steven Spielberg, and Tom Hanks. I predict that if that picture wins, it's going to really upset the general public. So, you're playing with fire, Hollywood. And I haven't seen the film, so I can't attest to the quality of it myself. But I think Call Me By Your Name is the picture, having not seen The Post, that I would like to see win. I think it's an incredibly well-crafted film, and it's not political. So I would like to see that take the award. All right, so then next up, Best Actress Drama. Jessica Chastain, Molly's Game, always a bridesmaid. I don't see her winning. Sally Hawkins, The Shape of Water. Frances McDormand, 3 Billboards. 3 Billboards also beloved by the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. Meryl Streep for The Post, and then Michelle Williams for All the Money in the World. I think this is between Meryl Streep, isn't it always, and Sally Hawkins for The Shape of Water. I'd like to see Sally Hawkins take it. I haven't reviewed The Shape of Water yet, but I have seen it. I thought her performance, it was good in I think a very uneven film, but I think it would just be nice to see somebody else. Meryl Streep has enough of these awards. And again, I do not want to see awards season politicized, particularly I think in a non-constructive manner. I don't want to see more of the same. And Meryl Streep already had her say last year at the Golden Globes, and I think really was quite offensive to, remember football and mainstream filmmaking, actually. All right, so anyway, Sally Hawkins is who I would like to see take this, but it's between her and Streep. Then Best Actor Drama. Timothy Chalamet for Call Me By Your Name, Daniel Day-Lewis for Phantom Thread, hated that movie, we'll be reviewing it hopefully later this week. Tom Hanks, The Post, Gary Oldman, Darkest Hour, and Denzel Washington for Roman J. Israel. You gotta love Denzel, he just always gets in there. He's the male Meryl Streep, and I don't think he gets enough recognition for that. I think Timothy Chalamet will win this, and he should win it. I think that while he's not my favorite performance in the film, he does a very good job carrying it, and I think we rarely see the male version of the ingenue that Hollywood loves to celebrate during award season. Anne Hathaway, Jennifer Lawrence, so many actresses have walked that path. It's interesting to see an actor walk it, and I think that's very much what Timothy Chalamet is doing this year. All right, next up, Best Picture, Musical or Comedy. The Disaster Artist, Get Out, The Greatest Showman, I, Tonya, and Lady Bird. This is really between Get Out and Lady Bird, and I think that the lack of nominations for Peele in both directing and writing give a little bit of an edge to Lady Bird, although Greta Gerwig is not nominated for directing either. So it's between those two, and I think it's interesting, Universal intentionally put Get Out in this category, and I think they suddenly still find themselves in a very tight race with the way things shook out. I would love to see actually I, Tonya take this, or Get Out. I do think, Get Out I think is a very good first film. I don't know if it's Best Picture quality, and I have to say, I think that Get Out and I, Tonya have the same amount of things wrong with it. And the more I see the same old get nominated, the more I appreciate I, Tonya for taking some risks. So with no Wonder Woman or Logan in the mix, I'm going to throw my support behind I, Tonya. All right, next up, Best Actress, Musical or Comedy. Judi Dench for Victoria and Abdul. Helen Mirren for The Leisure Seeker. No one's talking about that. I think that's totally the typical Hollywood Foreign Press Association. They love their old favorites. That's Dench and Mirren. Margot Robbie for I, Tonya, Saoirse Ronan for Lady Bird, and Emma Stone for Battle of the Sexes. We'll get to this in a moment. But first off, who should win and who will win? I think I would love to see Margot Robbie take it because, again, I'm appreciating risk-taking right about now in particular. But I think that Saoirse Ronan will certainly win the award, almost guaranteed in this category. And I would say that considering the rest of the nominees, Emma Stone for Battle of the Sexes, I mean, she was good, but she's always good. And then Helen Mirren for The Leisure Seeker, and also for Judi Dench for playing a role she's just, she could play in her sleep, and in that movie, sleeps a lot. I just can't believe that Gal Gadot couldn't even get a nomination. I wouldn't expect her to win. I'm not even asking for her to win. And I thought Gal Gadot was one of the weakest chances that Wonder Woman had. But when you actually see the category take shape, the fact that she's not even in there, considering what she was able to do and how wrong the role could have gone, it's absolutely ridiculous. All right, so Best Actor, Musical or Comedy. Steve Carell, Battle of the Sexes. That's also ridiculous, and he's not even a main character. He's totally supporting. Ansel Elgort for Baby Driver. James Franco for The Disaster Artist. Hugh Jackman for The Greatest Showman. And Daniel Kaluuya for Get Out. That's going to make Daniel Kaluuya's career. That's fabulous. So he's already a winner. As for who will actually win, I think it's going to be between Ansel Elgort and James Franco. But with the edge to Franco, because Elgort, Baby Driver, doesn't have a Best Picture nomination, and The Disaster Artist does. I'd actually like to see James Franco take it. Even though I didn't love the movie that he made, I thought that he was the center of it, and I think deservedly so. It's a fantastic character performance, and so I expect him to walk away with that award. Then for Best Supporting, there's just one. They don't divide it. We're back to just one category now. So for movies, Best Supporting Actress: Mary J. Blige for Mudbound. That's a huge win for Netflix. Hung Chow for Downsizing. That's fabulous for that actress as well. That's going to put her on the map. Allison Janney for I, Tonya. Laurie Metcalf for Lady Bird, and Octavia Spencer for The Shape of Water. I think this is between Allison Janney and Laurie Metcalf, which is interesting because they're essentially playing the same role. One's just more comedic than the other, although Laurie Metcalf definitely has comedic aspects to it. I think Allison Janney will likely win. I give her the edge over Laurie Metcalf, though, because I think she's probably been the only win that I, Tonya takes home, and they do tend to be democratic with this. And I think that Lady Bird is going to win in other categories. And I actually think that Allison Janney should win. I think she did it, and especially out of this group. I thought she did a fabulous job. And also, it's a little like J.K. Simmons. She's been a working actor for quite some time, and I think she deserves the recognition for her career overall. Then for Best Supporting Actor, this is the most wild card category of the group, and you can see why Stewart didn't quite make it, considering who was nominated. So let's take a look, because it's a very interesting category. So Willem Dafoe for The Florida Project, Armie Hammer for Call Me By Your Name. I'm so happy for him for that nomination. Richard Jenkins for The Shape of Water, Christopher Plummer for All the Money in the World. That's crazy. And Sam Rockwell for 3 Billboards. I think this is between Willem Dafoe and Richard Jenkins. They've taken home the most nominations, awards to date for supporting, although the Armie Hammer has not been nominated so far, so that makes him a bit of a wild card. I'm so happy to see him get recognition for this film. I think he's been largely ignored, and I think that's unfair. I think he's why the movie works. And then also Christopher Plummer, I think, is a bit of a wild card here because he must have been nominated for a reason, right? And he, as people are pointing out, he, within the span of a month, he was cast and filmed his role, and it's already the movie's about to come out. So it's very last minute, and of course, there's the whole Kevin Spacey angle, and so that I think makes that an interesting potential a winner as well. So I think again, it's Dafoe or Richard Jenkins are the front runners, but don't be surprised if there's a possible upset from Armie Hammer or Christopher Plummer. I think that who should win? Armie Hammer, hands down, although I think it's incredibly unlikely. Then Best Director. So again, this is crazy. All right, but let's just talk about the nominees. Guillermo del Toro, The Shape of Water, Martin McDonagh for 3 Billboards, Christopher Nolan for Dunkirk, Ridley Scott for All the Money in the World, and Steven Spielberg for The Post. Who cares who wins? I actually forgot to say who I think should win and will win because I was so upset about this category, so I'll just have to decide on the fly. But considering who's here, I think you could easily take out Scott, and I would even say, potentially Spielberg, because I think Spielberg not doing anything himself fresh here. I haven't seen the movie, though. But to leave out Patty Jenkins, Greta Gerwig, and Jordan Peele, the most exciting directors working this year is ridiculous. It's like when Ben Affleck was left out, was snubbed for director by the Oscars. And you can see that the Academy voters rallied, and they, Argo was a big winner that year, I think largely because of that snub, because people thought it was so unfair. So maybe this will help those directors when it comes to the DGA awards and also the Oscars. As for who I think should win, I don't know. I think they're all equally unexciting, to be perfectly honest with you. As for who will win, probably Steven Spielberg or Guillermo del Toro, considering how many nominate, and maybe Martin McDonagh, but I don't think so. I think the nomination for McDonagh is enough because it's so unusual. So I think it's between del Toro and Spielberg, or maybe All the Money in the World, since the Hollywood Foreign Press Association seems to love it so much, and I don't see it winning in any other category. And maybe also because Ridley Scott had the guts, I guess maybe that's how they're spinning it, to recast Kevin Spacey at the last minute, and still got his film out. Then Best Screenplay, and I included this here because it has 2 huge omissions. That's Jordan Peele and Alan Heinberg for Wonder Woman, which I thought was Wonder Woman's strongest potential for a nomination and win. So The Shape of Water was nominated, Lady Bird, The Post, 3 Billboards, and Molly's Game, of course, because of Aaron Sorkin. I think that also gives Molly's Game an edge to win because everybody just likes Aaron Sorkin's writing so much. But I think there's a potential upset here from Lady Bird because Greta Gerwig didn't get that directing nom, so they might feel they can reward her here. As for who should win, I've just told you who I think will win. I don't think these screenplays are particularly good, to be honest with you. I haven't seen Molly's Game, so I guess I always enjoy Aaron Sorkin, so I guess I'm going to throw my support there for now. But I don't think any of I think that Alan Heinberg and Jordan Peele both should have won in this category. Forget just being nominated. I think they should have won. Then for Best Animated Feature, we have The Boss Baby. It's a great movie, but it's not Best Animated Feature quality. The Breadwinner, Coco, Ferdinand. How interesting. Ferdinand really got on the board here. And then Loving, and someone actually just wrote me the other day and told me how much they enjoyed it. So maybe, it's good for Blue Sky. And then also Loving Vincent. I think this is down between Coco and The Breadwinner. I think with an edge to Coco, obviously, there could be an upset. I think Coco is such a fabulous film, and obviously that's the one that I think should win. Then finally, as for Best Song, we have Home from Ferdinand with Nick Jonas. I'm going to mention the big stars behind each song. Mighty River from Mudbound, Mary J. Blige. Remember Me from Coco, the Lopez's, of course behind the Frozen music. The Star, Mariah Carey. This Is Me from The Greatest Showman, which of course has the La La Land songwriting team of Benj Pasek and Justin Paul. I think this is between Remember Me and This Is Me because I think that Remember Me should win. I don't know. I have to see I wasn't able to make the screening yesterday, but I think that those are the 2 most I think, well-regarded writing teams in the category, the Lopez's and then Pasek and Paul. So I could see it going either way, to be perfectly honest with you. If only they had the Spanish language version of Remember Me, right? I think it would be a slam dunk then. But don't be surprised if This Is Me takes it, because Pasek and Paul are like the new Rodgers and Hammerstein, Lerner and Lowe of Hollywood these days, even though I think they're nowhere near the quality of either of those other songwriting groups. So anyway, what do you think of the nominations? And now that you see that Logan was shut out too and Get Out was so disrespected, are you feeling a little bit maybe that you shouldn't have been so mean about Wonder Woman, and maybe, you know, a win for Wonder Woman would have been a win for the whole team, and this would have helped us going forward? I'll be curious, now that you've seen the nominations for reals, how you feel about them in retrospect. And who are you rooting for now that your favorites have been taken out of the running? All right, write your thoughts down below, and you can check out some more videos right now.